And we're live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Yes, my name is ArrowFyre. Welcome to Let's Talk Transformers number 12. It's a year since we started doing these now. And tonight I am joined by three wonderful co-hosts. I say tonight, it's also morning for one of them as well. That is indeed Chris, Carnage Creations. I have David Cousens, Transformers to join me this evening.
Hello.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Let's get on with a loud intro, shall we?
Here we go.
Let's talk Transformers.
I like loud noises. They make nice sounds. Right.
Do you know what? That wasn't nearly as bad as last time.
No, because I think I've changed the music since last time as well. So, but I am very mindful that people are like, why is it so loud? You're making my ears bleed.
I was bracing myself.
As well you should. Right. I am going to get some news items on the go because I didn't do it beforehand. So talk amongst yourselves. Sort by date. Oh, God's sake.
Okay, so welcome to the David Cousens show.
Behave yourself. Or I will call you.
It's going to be a
David.
hostile takeover.
Yeah.
Share screen. Helps if I actually have the screen open. Okay. Very few news items because, well, quite frankly, there hasn't been much.
It's been a quiet week.
It has been a quiet week, but I'm going to get your take on a couple of things. There we go. And where are we? Are we there? We're good.
Yeah.
Yes, we are good.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have a random image in between this because I can't get this sorted right in the right order in time. But MPG, Nemesis, Jinrai. I don't know the lore to it. Is there actually a Nemesis Jinrai in any form of lore at all, or have they just painted it black?
It's irrelevant. I just want to buy it.
No, it's not. It's not. Oh, okay. You're going to just go, yeah, just take my money. So, I mean, it does look quite cool in black, to be fair. Ignore that one. Yeah, it does look pretty cool. It hasn't been out 5 minutes and we've already got a repaint. But given how well this has gone down, I'm not in the least bit surprised. It does look fabulous. I take it you are going to get it then, Chris.
Yeah, I think so. I'm just waiting for a good pre-order to pop up on Amazon Japan or something like that. They tend to have the best prices. But yeah, the normal MPG version, Super Jinrai, and the MP60 were both brilliant. I reviewed them both on the channel, but they're just fun to play with. They've even though they are masterpiece level of sort of engineering and quality, etc. They're just, you can handle them without feeling like they're going to break for the most part, ignoring the little tabs on the back of the smokestacks, which is an unfortunate oversight. But otherwise, they're really fun to mess with. It's small in cab mode, but big in Super Jinrai mode. It's a great toy. I would definitely recommend.
What I can't get past the fact there's no feet. That just bothers me. It shouldn't bother me, but it really does.
What God Bombers for?
It's all, they're a bit wonky, the feet. Their feet are a bit wonky, but yeah, it does look strange with no visible foot.
I'm sure there'll be an upgrade kit for it in the fullness of time, but I mean, it looks good, and Chris did a very good review on his channel, as have many people who have got it and very happy with it. But the black paint looks particularly stunning. Even the bloody base mode looks a little bit menacing. Looks like Shattered Glass Metroplex on the go, and I do not care for base modes. Yeah, I think it looks really smart. I've never had a connection to Power Master Prime. It was never kind of my era of it or type of it, so I was always very happy to let it go. I've got the Fans Hobby version, very happy with it, just because it stands big or whatever. But yeah, Anyone else getting that massive feedback
Yeah, I can
noise?
hear it.
Whoa. So I'm just going to mute you all individually. All gone quiet?
Gone now.
David might be you. Try again. No, it's okay. I think it stopped.
Okay.
Aliens.
Could be. I wonder if it was Chris's fan there in the background, but I know it's a bit bloody hot where you are, Chris, so I won't hold it against you.
That should be fine. I mean, I have that on when I'm recording reviews, so doesn't make too much noise. That.
Okay. Well, anyway, it does look very nice. I don't know if I'm going to get it, but I've seen the reviews that, particularly when it's all in combined mode, it does look particularly nice. But moving on, I suppose we'll talk about this if I zoom in a bit more, because it's kind of been what everyone's been talking about. HasLab, Leo Kaiser. Do we care? Are we going to get it? Are we excited?
No.
No.
No? Okay.
I feel really bad for saying that because I know lots of people have been excited by it. I kind of saw it. Like, okay. But, people like it, and fair play to them.
Lots of people have paid for it, and they bought it, or however you want to back it, however you want to call it.
It got back very quickly. But I'll say my early piece on this, which I've said a few times, is I'm not a fan of the HasLab process. I think Unicron should have been HasLab because it was so big, so unique, so one-off. You weren't going to find it on the shelves anywhere else. So fine, HasLab that, crowdfund that. I'm more than happy with that. Everything else that's been a HasLab release, I think you could find on a shop. You could go and find Star Saber. You could find Deathsaurus. You could find this. If this is going to be, I think, less than the Titans are, and you could go and get Titans on the shelves when they first came out. You would see Triptychon. So I see no reason why this needed to be crowdfunded. Also, again, I don't have the biggest connection to Leo Kaiser. Wasn't my particular strong era of Transformers, so maybe that's why. I don't think it looks bad. It's just not for me. That's more or less my view on it, really. I don't know if you guys really have anything more to add.
I don't think
I'm a sucker for combiners, so I will probably end up picking it up. Look,
Have you packed it already?
I can see both. I have, yeah. Locally, EB Games actually brought it in at the correct price this time, unlike last year. So I'm paying pretty much square on what everyone else is. Look, it's I don't have a particular connection to it. As I said, I do like combiners, so that side of it, I just want to experience it. Whether I hold on to it and then pass it on might be another thing. But look, I get both sides of the coin with the whole HasLab and crowdfunding thing. But look, it is what it is. It seems popular enough, so it means we'll probably get more. So that's a good thing for everyone either way.
Sam, any additional views?
Not on that particular figure. I'm not too bothered either way. I don't see a real problem with the whole crowdfunder thing. I think it's kind of a good idea in a way. I wouldn't want all companies to do it, but you kind of go, if you want to make something and you want commitment and know you're going to sell them, it's all right. You're basically pre-ordering, aren't you? I assumed you have to pay the whole amount.
If I remember rightly, because I remember Sixo's tweeted about this, that you pay a deposit now and maybe a full balance come the end of it, because these things can be delayed.
Yeah.
Which my first thought was, go on, Chris.
HasLab, if you order through Hasbro, you don't pay anything initially, but you have to pay like straight away when it's funded. So
yeah.
Unlike going through a brick and mortar or an online store where there may be a deposit and then different payment schemes going forward, going directly through Pulse, you have to pay when the project's actually funded. So for me, like I've pre-ordered and I paid $100 up front, and then I can pay it off as long as I want. So there's a trade-off there through a store. Yeah. But yeah, Hasbro, it's full payment on funding. And that's been an issue for people because it's only 45 days. And if you're paid monthly or you're on a lower income or something, that's a very short period of time to just dump 300 US or whatever it is on a figure. So
Yeah.
I can understand why people are hesitant to back it initially.
Yeah, and that's the other thing we've said, haven't we, Sam? When we spoke, it's $300 US, for HasbroPulse.com, but then it was also £300 UK, and it was, and that kind of put a few noses out of joint. But taxes, whatever
stung,
else,
don't we? By taxes, it's just
yeah.
I did see an amusing comment. Someone had bought it and was then miffed, wasn't happy with a surcharge, but it was a £300 figure and a £4 surcharge, and it was a whole thread about, and I wasn't quite.
It's the £4 that breaks the camel's back. I know,
like 300 quid, and you're not gonna. Oh, I'm not paying that £4.
£4. This is an outrage. But,
But anyway, I probably missed something. But I mean, it looks colourful, doesn't it? It's one good thing.
I mean, some people have said the Legend Scale Iron Factory did a better version, which is literally just finished, and fine. It's nice to have alternative options. But yeah, something that Mellow Shade said in the chat, and I completely agree on this. It's cheeky of Hasbro sitting on that money for over a year before So if you're paying the money at these certain points, Hasbro are still pocketing it and making a bit of interest off your money in the meantime, but. Hey, it's a game we play, I suppose.
I do wonder if, that being said, I do wonder if internally some of these HasLab projects are stuff that Hasbro corporate are like, you can do it, but you've got to do it this way. And that's, though they're sitting on the money, it's also funding the real-time production of the figure, opposed to something that's going to be at retail. They know it's going to sell to retailers, because you've got to remember, it's not us buying it directly from the supplier, it's the big box stores and the online retailers are buying it and then selling it on. So something like this isn't necessarily with that same method. I know that's a little bit of speculation, and unless someone from Hasbro's listening that can correct, I figure that some of it might be a little bit on that side.
Sounds sensible, doesn't it?
There's 10 people watching, Chris. I doubt any of them are from Hasbro. But you never know. Hi, Hasbro. How are you doing? Please endorse me. But yeah, moving on back to what you briefly saw of a couple of Triceratops. There they are. So, bit of older third-party news. Fan stories, because it is. Both of them, in fact. You have Scoria. Am I pronouncing that right? Scorsia on the left. And that was, I can't remember the name of that. Was that Robot Paradise?
It's all fan stories.
Robot Paradise, yeah.
That's I can't remember the name they called it. But anyway, on the right is the one we need to worry about more, which is Perfect Fusion.
Scoria.
It's all still fan stone, and that is Cesium, which has just come out on the right. I say just come out. It's been out for a while, but it's being reissued along with Jabba. But this has got quite a few people talking, because this was a long time ago, a very limited run from Fan Toys, and now it's coming back out surprisingly on the shelves for quite a bit of money, but I'm not surprised, and people are losing their minds over it because it's such a rare item. What is the thinking? I'll start with you, Sam, being the Fan Toys fan as you are. Interested?
I think so. Scoria, that's my first ever third-party figure. That's what started it. I went in.
The one on the left.
Yeah, I saw that when I just figured out what third-party was and bought that, and then I've never looked back to my sins. I didn't get Cesium because I already had one. And initially, when I saw this last week, I thought, nah. But the more I look at it, I kind of think I might get it. Depends how much it is. I haven't seen how much it is. And I thought they were going to do another one. I thought they were going to do Cyclonus under that Perfect Fusion when it first started, but then they changed their mind, I think.
This is Fans Toys just occasionally doing their bits to cover their tracks. They were going to do Acoustic Wave, Sound Wave, under the, I'm sure it was Robot Paradise when it first came out.
Yeah.
Or Perfect Fusion. I couldn't remember which is which. And they were going to do it, but then it got shelved for so long, and then it came out eventually, much later. But they come up with these names just to throw off. I just this figure was when Cesium was one of their earliest figures. Got to be almost 10 years ago, easy. And now they bring it back out.
I picked up Scoria in 2014 when I was in the States.
I think that's was that their third ever figure or fourth figure or something? Scoria? It was very early on.
That, yeah, very early.
Like number 3, I think it was FTO3 from memory. I'm surprised. Sorry.
Go on, Sam. Sorry, I'll cut you off.
I think it's odd why they're doing both. Because from what I remember, Cesium was going to be this newer, almost like cheaper version at the time, I can't remember how they marketed it, but it wasn't as expensive as the other one, and it was like maybe lesser material, less die cast or things like that from memory, and it's going to be kind of this cheaper line or cheaper version. And I might be completely making that up, but that's what I think it was. And so
it did seem an offshoot because it was the only one that came out under the Perfect Fusion name, and it just felt like a splinter. But yes, it's a limited run, because I was even speaking to Graham of Primetime Toys. He hasn't been offered that many items to sell in terms of stock count. So I think if you want it, get it. I don't think it's cheap, and it's certainly not a brand spanking new figure. But if you want it, and if you missed out and they are like rare as anything to find, get it while you can, because you might not have many choices. I mean, I've still got my Geiger Power Dinobots. Love them. They're big. They're huge. Super huge. Love them. Not that I hate this, but it was just an odd one to bring back out.
But it's odd. They're releasing both. Are they not releasing both of these?
To my knowledge, no. It's just Cesium. And I don't think Scoria is coming out again. I think it is just Cesium.
Misinterpreted that then and thought that they were releasing both. But you're probably right, mate. I just got that completely wrong then. So that makes my statement.
It would be a bit silly to put two different types of Triceratops out at the same time. But
strange about it. So I'll be quiet for a minute because I got that wrong.
No, it's fine. Your opinions are valid.
I'd honestly prefer that they re-released their Grimlock, because that's ridiculously overpriced on the aftermarket now.
Is it?
Which is called what? What do they call their Grimlock, Chris?
It's a great name, isn't it?
It's a brilliant name.
I'm not saying it.
Grinder, indeed. We've got a question in the chat.
If they re-release that, I think they'd be in a better position in the market.
Maybe they're going to. Maybe this is the start. Because they've never really released any of them, have they? I don't think.
No.
Have they really released any of the Dinobots?
Not to my knowledge, but I never went in on them too much. I know they could be hard to track down. Question we got in the chat from Mr. J. I think this is talking about the Liar Kaiser from before. Sorry, David, are you talking? I can see your lips moving. Can't hear you. Are you muted? Have I muted you? No, I haven't muted you. Can see you talking. Okay, we'll carry on for a bit, but he's there with us in spirit.
David has muted himself.
Yeah.
in the chat, which is a lot of people on Facebook selling their Magic Square Transformers. What is your take on this? Magic Square in particular? Well, typically Legend scale. They've only done a few into the Masterpiece ones. I don't know of a particular mass sale of Magic Square. Might just be coincidence. Don't know anything more.
Bored of it.
Still can't hear you, David. No, I'll tell you what, for the sake of it, I'll mute you and unmute you. Right, you're definitely muted. Now you're unmuted. Try.
Hello.
Chat. Oh, that's echoey.
Low batteries on your AirPods, maybe.
Is anyone else getting the weird sci-fi vibes? It's
Soundwave has joined the chat.
Yeah.
Apparently, we have someone Soundwave. I'm going to mute you for now, David. It's still sounding a bit.
Leave and come back in. That might help.
Maybe do a quick restart, David.
Do you know what? I'll blame Brandon on that one, because as soon as he turned up, it all right. Hi, Brandon.
I'll leave.
Aliens, aren't you?
Oh my, that is something, isn't it? Indeed. Well, that was all of the news. It was pretty thin on the ground, but I do want to go on to a point for what we made around the Liar Kaiser. and funding. Now, as I say, I'm not a fan of HasLab and crowdfunding, but I did see a line, and I don't think this is official, but Hasbro may go down the made-to-order approach. They may go down, rather than putting X amount of units out, you put in a quote of what you want, and it's made to order per customer.
Okay, hello.
I think that's okay. Less
Okay,
Soundwave this
excellent.
time. Very good.
I didn't mind the idea of sounding like Soundwave, to be honest. I thought that sounded
I
great.
didn't say it was a bad thing. I mean, a bit different from a Somerset accent, though, isn't it?
Yeah, this is fair.
But anyway, just saying, David, before you came and went back, it sounds, I say it sounds like, it's just a line that I saw. Hasbro are considering going down a made-to-order route. Now, it could just be a headline on a site somewhere for clicks, maybe.
Sure.
But we've sort of said this around the selling of Titans. A lot of retailers don't want to stock them. Famously, Smiths in the UK, Smiths Toys, they didn't stock Tidal Wave and other Titans that came out because of their considerable tanking in prices. Wasn't it Entertainer who had Black Zarek for as little as £60? It plummeted in price.
I remember it being 75 at one place, but wow.
It did go considerably down. So, what do we think on this Hasbro? I mean, we've seen some lines saying that they want to go more digital with some of their products, but made to order. Do we think this is going to be a thing, a future going forward?
I kind of hope not. I saw that they were doing that with X-Men Sentinels. And I thought, to be fair, I kind of see where they're coming from, because if you're owning a store, that's going to be a large footprint. That's going to take up a lot of shelf space, and it's not going to be a high turnover product. Like, you're only going to get one or two people coming in and getting like a big, I don't know, kind of £80 Sentinel or something. I do see the point, but I don't know. I don't think it's a good way to go long term, because you're encouraging people to not go into toy stores and just to put, like you order one thing from an online store, you may as well order like 5 things.
Sort of kills the high street, doesn't it? It gives you you don't go on a toy hunt anymore and see what you can find and what deals are there today that you may have missed last week. If it's like, well, you put it on with the Amazon order like you do anywhere else. Why would it be different? Yeah,
it's likely to ultimately lift prices on everything too. So, like on the secondary market. But the other thing is, instead of doing everything made to order, how about when there's a popular figure, like we've had a thing in the chat there, Magnus and 86 Prime. If you want to do a rerun on those figures, do them made to order. Have the retail run, and maybe someone's had spotty distribution or something like that. And then have that option made to order instead of a reissue, so to speak.
Yeah, that's true. Sam, any thoughts from you?
I think it would be a shame, wouldn't it, if toys weren't made to put in shops, mass for people to buy. It wouldn't affect that kind of thing with me, because I buy all mine online. I don't really go and buy things. Well, the stuff I buy isn't available in shops, but that I'm the minority in that. There's a lot more people that go and, it would kill a lot of Smiths. Wouldn't not exist, but it would a company like that wouldn't last very long, would it, if people like Hasbro didn't make them.
I mean, it feels like, as you say, when you're getting to the rare collector's items, I mean, stuff's just not in the shops like it used to be, because let's face it, it's a digital age, isn't it? You order things online from warehouses and whatever else, but wall-to-wall toy shops are just not the thing anymore. And it's a shame, because it loses its magic and it loses its kind of funness. If you're just going to do a HasLab pre-order, you'll get it. So I suppose the end result doesn't change. You still have that giddiness when it comes through the door, but going on the hunt, and I've said this before, sometimes the hunt is the thrill of the chase is better than the destination. But I don't know. I feel it could be what Hasbro are sort of doing at the moment. It's going to come up to another topic I want to talk about. But let's go into. I want to say it's a bit of a heavy topic. It is, and it isn't. But let's go into it. How long can Transformers last? So, let's be honest. It's 40 years now, and who's to say it's going to not run for another 40 years? It'd be great if it does, but there's a lot of things that kind of come and go and fall by the wayside. And we saw this week that Amazon have now got creative control over the James Bond films going forward. So how long's that going to last? That hopefully isn't going to be a nail in the coffin, but God only knows. But how long can Transformers last? 40 years is very, very good innings. But can it go another 40 years? Would it need to be a generational thing for us to pass down to the next generation to keep it going? And has it got the legs to go 40 years again? Your thoughts?
Well, I think the thing over the years, this question's probably been asked every so often. Every time a series finishes or a line finishes, it's an age-old thing. It's been 40 years, like you say, but who knows? It's such an indeterminate question because anything could happen in the world to change how production is, all that sort of stuff. So lots of things can affect it, and I don't think it's really worth worrying. As you say, 40 years is a great innings. Not many brands have been on toy shelves in some form or fashion for 40 years, let alone the media to come along with it. So historically, we're in a pretty good position, and to sort of speculate whether it will continue another 40 years or even 5 years or 20 or whatever is sort of difficult. But I think it will continue along as long as the fans are there to support it.
Yeah, fair enough. David?
I was just thinking that I kind of want Transformers to have another Beast Wars moment. In that,
you hear that, Sam? You hear that?
Well, it's not necessarily for bringing back Beast Wars, but when Transformers was dying out when Beast Wars turned up, and Beast Wars gave it a massive shot in the arm, and it went for the first 2 seasons or so before it linked back to anything. So that you had your lip service of there was Megatron's name and Optimus Primal, but basically it was all new lore. There were all new characters. There was a whole new load of aspects all came in. It wasn't okay, we've got Optimus and Megatron and his Starscream and his Shockwave. And before anybody attacks me, I love them. I love them all. But Beast Wars really brought some new stuff to mix into the mythology. And I remember being there as Beast Wars came out. The excitement for that was huge. And suddenly, we all had so many more new things to look at. And I think recently we're going to and again, it's weird me saying this because I'm quite a big G1 fan, but we're going back to the G1 well again and again and again. It's I don't know how many more times we need to see the same things, and it would be nice to just see some new, some brand new characters and a new dynamic, and have it as much as Beast Wars did as a continuation of the timeline, so we could have, so you don't alienate the old fans, because I was a massive mark when the agenda came out on Beast Wars. I used to oh my god, it's the Ark, and Ravage turned up, and it was and everything was amazing, and it was all up and okay, this is really cool. So you could have something that continues further down. So we're still us, the old G1 fans, we all have something to look at. Even the Beast Wars fans, if we're going further down the timeline, we've all got something we can go, oh look, cool, they meant or that character just well. No, it feels like we're going the same thing.
David, I think Soundwave is making his way back through your headset. You're doing so well, and you're on a good run as well. I think when I meet you in August, I will buy you a new microphone. But
I'm going to change to my Yeti, and in fact, I'm going to try that, and we'll see how we do.
That's all well and good, but can you choose the microphone first, please? Yeah, that's fine. I'll leave you to it. Sam, do you want to fill in whilst Kremzik is working his way through Dave? Thanks, Drew.
I don't know. It depends what Transformers lasting means.
Well, is it still going to be here? Is it still going to be here? And of course, now I say that because I think I know what I mean by saying this. Is that Hasbro can only hold the licenses for so long before they have to kind of get effectively renewed. Am I right with that? And they're only going to do it if it's viable and if they have an appetite for it. So they kept it going this long. Is there an intention for saying, look, Transformers has made a ton of money for Hasbro? Whether it's made as much money or things have done as well as they want is neither here nor there. But is there an appetite to carry on with it for another 40 years?
I think, yes, I think it will. The brand will. Whether Hasbro are the main contributors to that brand's another matter. I think they're doing it now and probably will do more of franchising it out, or not franchising. You know what I mean? Selling the license, or letting people use the license to make their own stuff a lot more, and I think that might be a way they do it.
Yeah,
we still going to be, not us, but our toy companies still going to be making toys in 20 years? Younger generations are going more digital by the second. Are they? I don't know if toys are around like they are in 20 years' time, but I would say the brand is into digital content, movies, maybe, or shows, or other companies that are doing it. So I think it'll not always. I think it will be around for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about some toys that have come out from, because I've gone to some of these toy fairs. I was talking to Chris about toy fair he went to recently, and I went to the Sandown toy fair, and just the things you see, like the toys from way back when. I'm talking like almost First World War style toys, in as much as what kids would have been playing with back there. How they've all changed to some of the Masterpiece figures and Robeson stuff that we have now. It's not even the same world. It's not even remotely close. So what things are going to be in another few decades is really, really hard to say. I do think, though, there will be something, because we've seen lines, haven't we, that collections for adults is not uncommon. And you get people who collect trains, Warhammer, I don't know, model air kits, anything. There's a collection aspect. But I can't help but wonder, it's all well and good until Hasbro decide it's not. And it's not going to stop because, third parties been around. But it's been as good as it has been because Hasbro have continued to put money into it, as have we as fans. We've put as much money into it to make sure Hasbro do the same. It's all going well. But I'm just thinking, 40 years is a hell of a target. Would it do another 40?
I don't know about kids' lines going forward for years and years to come, but you've only got to look at the generations coming through from a collecting point of view on social media. There's these essentially kids to all of us, but there's like 20-year-olds and mid-20s kids out there that are just getting into Transformers now, and you're seeing that progression of their collecting and discovering this stuff that existed before they did. And they get really excited, and that sort of snowballs into their own little communities and discords and things. So there's at least a good outlook going forward from a collecting and Transformers community point of view, because I think the fan base is already there, and the likelihood is that will happen again for another generation going forward. And some of these communities and sort of age groups of collectors have come in during periods where there hasn't been media or active media. So it shows that the toys themselves do carry the franchise a bit as well.
Yeah, huge. And that's, we've said a lot around Beast Wars, the toys, I've gone on about it before, the toys from Beast Wars and going into the Unicron trilogy were absolutely tremendous toys. But as going over here,
you like Beast Wars?
Yeah, there is a certain podcast that
I happen to know a really good podcast.
Do it, Chris. Shameless plug.
You can
That's
do it all
just
you like,
Prime,
but
a Beast Force podcast every second Saturday. please,
Are you
listen.
advertising
We
my
like it.
co-podcast on my live stream without my blessing? But yeah, it can go on for as long as it can. But I look at all the I say this a few times, and I don't want to get, I don't want to
We need
overegg
to
it.
kick C4 Darkmane out of the chat.
Drew, don't worry about what's Beast Force. Don't worry about Drew. He's
Drew
all
knows
right.
his
He's
stuff. Drew knows his stuff.
he's shut up.
Drew's
Sam.
all right.
Yeah, he lives in Cornwall. What does he know? But anyway, I don't want to get too over dramatic over it. But I say a lot. We are so lucky that it is kept as long as it has. And yes, that's as much down to us that we refuse to let it die. Absolutely. But there's so many other things that just haven't made it this long. And that's why I kind of think like some really good stuff. Like look at X-Men 97, crying out for something like that and really had to fight to get that back. But how long was it, to really, X-Men had, in between comics and films to keep the memory alive. But to kind of, you really had to push it. You had to really believe in it wholeheartedly, like we have with Transformers, to refuse to let it die. But the ones that come up a lot, Mask, things like that, stuff from before. I was a big fan of Exo Squad. That wasn't as big, but things that G.I. Joe, that kind of limps. Really, it does have toys that come out with it. But
I've never heard of Exo Squad.
Oh, you and I will have to have a chat one day, but it wasn't as big as the others. But it was a series that, like a lot of other things, just didn't take off, didn't set the world on fire, and gets its IP dropped. And then I always think, how long till Transformers finally burns out, if indeed it does? I hope it doesn't, but many a good thing has fallen away. But yeah, we'll let Drew back in now. He likes Exo Squad. That's not how you spell Exo, though. It has an E at the start. Drew, God's sake. Anyway.
It'll stay around, I think.
Well, talking about a digital age, next topic of discussion. A new Transformers video game. This is kind of news, but I want to turn it into a discussion topic. So, Transformers and video games don't always mix. They can be rubbish, and sometimes they don't happen at all. Well, the rumor is that Hasbro are interested with, and the name's gone out of my head. I should have had it written down, but the developer of the Space Marine 2 game that's come out recently, which is bloody brilliant, by the way. That developer has been contacted by Hasbro to use one of its, and I quote, tentpole IPs. Why they chose the term tentpole, I don't know. I actually thought, you actually doing something with tentpoles here? What are you doing? But it's not. One of their flagship, one of their more prominent IPs. They've contacted this developer and said, "Can you do anything about it?" Was it Saber? Thank you, Drew, because he's a fan of it as well. But it looks like Hasbro want to get back into video games. Of course, Reactivate didn't see the light today. So maybe they're thinking there's still a bit of an appetite. Maybe they can reuse some of this. I don't know if that really works because another developer was developing that. I doubt they could take whatever was developed and reuse it. But maybe there was storylines, ideas, whatever else. But I've brought up this discussion on other live streams before, but do we think this is where Hasbro want to go? We have seen statements coming out from the current Hasbro CEO that they do quite like the look of they want to be a digital company. Do we think this is going to be something they want to put Transformers towards?
Yeah, I would say they do.
Your turn to talk.
I'm going to try not to sound like a robot now. I wish I could do a robot voice. No, that'd be so good. No, I mean, it makes sense as far as like the cynical part of me says, like, again, as we were talking about having toys in stores and stuff and distribution, digital is really easy money. There's nothing to sell, there's nothing to package, you don't have to deal with any customer service for when heads get stolen or arms break off or like any kind of those things. But do you know what? I really think that have any of you like followed Marvel Rivals?
I know of it and I have played it, and it's not my bag, but it's bloody everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. It's not exactly my thing. It's a bit too Overwatch again, but that's been absolutely huge. And one thing that Rivals did particularly well, which I noticed when my kids were playing it, there was lots of prompts to get you back to the character's origins and like back to the comics. Like this appeared in this storyline, this character's first appearance was this, and they give a whole bio or something. Now, Hasbro could work that so they could have the best of both worlds. They could have their digital money of people buying their skins and stuff. And because I mean, on Fortnite, I've bought Megatron and Bumblebee skins.
Guilty.
Yeah, I'm in a safe space.
Never played Fortnite.
Me neither. I've never played Fortnite either.
I've got you added on my PlayStation friends, Chris.
I just don't play Fortnite. I'm on PlayStation.
Oh, fair enough.
Nice try.
But yeah, I think you could. I think if you had a decent selling game, you could be making lots of digital like DLC purchases and whatnot. But you could also, by telling the lore and everything, you could really help push people back to the stores to buy. Oh, I love this character. Like I will buy this character. And you could kind of and that's all you need is like the gateway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm glad you didn't, but I know what you
mean.
Yeah. But this is where I've said a few times around the toy lines. Particularly said it around Age of the Primes or even Legacy from before. I think it's worse when there's no accompanying media. So the game could be the media, could be the way to tell a story, to make you go and buy the toys. But they were almost doing that with Reactivate, in fairness to them. You know, there were toys coming out based on the Reactivate designs, but the game never came to the light of day. But yeah, Marvel Rivals, definitely. That's bloody everywhere. It's not for me, but yeah, it's huge. Sam, are you particularly a gamer? I can't remember.
A bit. I play some games. I've never played a Transformers video game. Ever.
You what?
Really?
You've left out some gems there.
Never. I just never done it.
Sorry.
But I don't know. I mean, it would make sense, wouldn't it, to do it? I don't know. What was the game that was being played at the store? You were playing
Galactic Trials. It's like a
Mario
effectively.
Kart,
it's like a Mario Kart. It's effectively on rails game, which was it was fine. It was harmless. It wasn't gonna win awards, but it was fine enough.
I think a mobile game or something like that is probably where they need to go and try it. Yeah. I mean,
they've done mobile games before, and it's just they've just I think there's probably been a couple of good ones, but it sounds like with the fact that they're contacting an actual tried and tested developer, they want to go down the AAA title. Here we're talking your God of Wars, that kind of your big level stuff, a big shelf selling games. But whether I don't know, they want to go down digital route.
Have you played? Because it's so games sort of like the Star Wars, the Fallen, not Fallen Jedi. What's it called?
Fallen Order, isn't it?
Yeah, that one, like the Uncharted, the Drake Uncharted games, those kind of that third person story mode. I don't know what you call that type of game.
Like an RPG of sense, yes.
Yeah, do that on Cybertron and have a role playing where you can explore the world and go and collect stuff and do a game. There's a game that takes you through. Do that, and I think it would be a good game.
I mean,
Cybertron exploring. I'm going to show you my naivety now and say you're going to say that's been done, but
yes and no. It has been done with the War for Cybertron games, the War for Cybertron and Fall to Cybertron, but they were not open world. They were linear levels that you were exploring. But it was still an A to B, having a boss fight at the end of it, which they were absolutely brilliant games, and we were robbed of a third one.
Right.
But I mean, did you ever play the multiplayer for that?
To death.
That was so much fun. I think I'd still be playing that now if the servers hadn't been closed down. It's amazing.
Wow. I've been trying very much to get back the Fall to Cybertron game in particular, just because it was a good game. And the thing is now, like as I say, just re-release them. Don't have to be remastered or HD'd. Just bring them out because they were fun. It was, but like you,
so good.
High Moon, that was a studio. Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah, they closed down unfortunately.
And looking,
they got
like you said before, in the Space Marine 2 is a very similar third-person game style as those High Moon games. So I'm very excited if something like that goes through, especially with new, engines and game technology that we have now. But those games are really fun. And if the servers were still active and all that sort of stuff, I'd be playing them constantly.
Absolutely. Yeah, it does seem to be that, as we were talking about before, going into a digital age, it's a no-brainer. But I'm glad you mentioned, David, Marvel Rivals, because it's bloody everywhere. So they've got to take note of what is a simple game to do if they're going to go down that way. It's a simple premise, but we're just starved of games and good ones of that. But anyway, let's talk about Transformers series in and of themselves. What series did you not get into? And Sam, you don't just get to throw out Beast Wars because I will kick you. Because you'd only say it to hurt me. I mean, you can say it because you probably are going to say it, and I know it's not your favourite. So it is a valid answer. Just don't do it to gauge in a reaction.
I wasn't going to say word.
That's a bit rude because I brought you on my live stream.
Yeah, I'm
very
gonna
passive aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to show you I'm a terrible fan again because there's not many that I've watched. Because when I try, is it Prime? Transformers Prime.
Yeah.
I gave that about 6 to 7 episodes. No, can't do this. There was something about the faces just annoyed me. The ones I've watched are obviously the originals and some of Beast Wars, 1 or 2. I've tried it 3 or 4 times, still can't do it. And the Netflix ones are the main ones I can remember watching. Other ones I just didn't like them.
So it's more of the question for you should have been, which series did you get into? And you can say G1 and we can move on.
Yeah, G1 and the Netflix ones. And that's about it.
What's G1?
Oh,
yeah.
What's G1? Well, I mean, look, I knew Beast Wars wasn't your bag.
Beast Wars.
So I said,
I don't know why I didn't like it or don't. There's something about it that
I'm just curious, Sam. Did you just try to watch season 1 of Beast Wars, or did you ever go in at like season 2, for example?
No, I'll be honest. I've tried I can't get past about 2 or 3 episodes, and I know.
Well, there's your mistake.
Right, and again, I know so many people have told me that the storytelling is very, good. It's the premise of it. I just can't get past the idea of it.
Oh, good.
And yeah,
where's my Megatron?
And please grab the dinosaur. Don't do it.
Oh, he's not in dinosaur mode. I'm going to do.
Oh
no. Look. Okay, we've got a lot to unpack with that. Okay, so what can we say? It's not everyone's cup of tea. I get it, and I think a lot of it comes down to truck, not monkey. If you really want to have a closing argument, truck, not monkey. We're back to that. But look. As I'll say this for Beast Wars, as I will say to anyone, like, watch Game of Thrones. And Sam, I know you're a Game of Thrones fan. the first sort of 5 episodes of season 1 of Game of Thrones is a bit of a hard watch. And when it first came out, I was not into it. Everyone went mad for it. No, not for me.
I did the same.
By the time it went to like season 3 or 4, and I saw it all advertised and trailers, I was like, okay, let me try this again. Went back, watched it, powered through those first 5 episodes or so. By the end of season 1, I thought, all right. By the time seasons 2, 3, and 4, I was well on board. But it's a hard watch to begin with. Same with Beast Wars. You have very slow episodes where they're finding their feet. A certain podcast will tell you this, but there are better episodes to come.
Oh,
I can understand where some people lose the interest in shows due to animation, because like for me, reading comics, if the animation or the drawing style doesn't click with me, I find it hard to focus on the story regardless.
Yeah.
So I understand when some shows just aren't visually appealing to you, it can ruin the show straight away.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's the best written show in the world, but you're just like, I don't really enjoy watching this, just purely from a visual standpoint. So that sometimes is part of the problem. And I find that with a lot of modern cartoons and animated shows, that they're either too simplified or too kiddish or whatever. I don't know how to put my finger exactly on it, but the style can be a big thing of what I don't enjoy about shows. But overall, for just general Transformers series, I think I'd probably enjoyed 90% of them. Some of the modern ones have lost me a little bit. It's not that they're bad shows, like Earthspark I don't mind at all, but I'm not going out of my way to like catch up on the season or whatever.
So is there one, Chris, that you just didn't get into? Then is there one that you had to pick one?
Not really. Maybe G1. No,
and you
not
can
really.
find Chris on
I
YouTube here.
For the most part, enjoyed most of them. Yeah.
I mean, for me, for my one that I just couldn't get into, well, there's 2 really, but one that I kind of feel I should have gotten into and just didn't was Transformers Prime. Just didn't do anything for me. I was the same with Animated, to be honest. Animated didn't do anything for me, but I accepted I probably wasn't Animated's target audience, so I could live with that. But Prime was just not clicking for me. It just didn't work, and I was fine with all the others. Whether I was really into them or not, I was like, oh yeah, I like it. But Prime was how you said, Sam, for Beast Wars, was how I was for Prime. I couldn't watch it. I was losing interest. I mean, what people have said in the chat, Cyberverse, I didn't mind Cyberverse, just the episodes were too short. But the Netflix series were okay. Weren't brilliant, but they were okay. But Prime just didn't do it for me. And I hear people say like, oh, it's great. It's like 20 years since Transformers Prime started. And I'm like, sorry. It's kind of missed me. My bad.
I tell you what, as much as and this might be because I'm a bit of a Beast Wars fan, funny enough, but the Kingdom series almost took me out when I started hearing the voice actors and stuff of the Beast Wars characters. So that is one that, and like I was enjoying that series for the most part, but there was hearing Megatron and Dinobot, and I was like, oh no.
So Megatron
it doesn't have to be exact, but you've got these characters that are, you've got these characters that are solidified in story already of like just their character alone, ignoring the voice. But when the voice takes that character completely off field, you're like, that's pretty hard.
I think that the thing was with Kingdom, I remember watching it and thinking they'd written it. Whoever written it had watched some Beast Wars to get Megatron's cadence, and the voice actor was completely different. And no shade on the voice actor there. I don't want to kind of insult anybody, but I felt it was my brain couldn't help auto replacing David Kay's delivery every time he spoke.
I was the same.
Yeah, and it just took me out the thing because I was like, I thought, oh, David Kay would do it like this, and I'm not enjoying the show if I'm constantly just thinking about a different show.
But to that point as well, do you remember they sort of kind of tried to recreate Code of Hero with the death scene, and it's just like you had a masterpiece ending and you're butchering it. And the thing is, up until that point, like we were saying, I kind of didn't mind it. I thought, oh, we lost Chris. But he was so upset by Kingdom, he quit the stream. You know, that's enough.
He remembered it. The trauma got to him.
You brought the PTSD back there. Thank you, Dave. But yeah, I was watching Siege, even with Megatron's lips. You know, fine. You know, we went onto it, but Earth Rise, not Earth Spark, Earth Rise. I didn't mind it. I liked the introduction of Skylinks. You know, we got whatever. We're okay, but Kingdom, no. It just how to undo your good work.
Well, Kingdom as well. It felt like with the Dinobots storyline, it felt unearned. It felt like they were trying to just steal the gravitas from Beast Wars and just go, hey, we're doing this. And it's like, no, you didn't go through 2 seasons of stuff, and I don't know, you can't speed run something and then hope to get it off the goodwill of another show. It's no.
Well, go on then, David. Is it a particular series, or was it indeed Kingdom, or was there one series that you just didn't click where other people did?
Well, there's one that I've never seen on purpose. Intentionally, I never watched it, which was Beast Machines.
No, because he likes my podcast. Beast Machines.
Yes. Yeah, and it was because as may come across, I'm quite the Beast Wars fan, to the point I would say that I love Beast Wars.
And this is why I like you, and other people are in
it. You're in trouble. I'm never getting kicked off this now.
I think
I am not above bribery.
But no, the thing was, I really loved it. But Beast Machines didn't come out here immediately in the UK. And I was on a message board called all.toys.transformers, which is where I was getting all my news at the time. And they'd seen it. And the reports were coming through about how it was changing the characters and undoing lots of character development and stuff. And I got to a point where I thought, I don't want to see this because I've got such a nice memory of Beast Wars. I don't want to see Waspinator turned into another character and have his lovely ending ruined. Or I don't want to see a warped version of Silverbolt or anything.
I do get that, and I'm where it comes to Beast Machines, I didn't like it, and I feel it does undo a lot of hard work. However, with the pixelated gentleman in the bottom left there, I will probably be watching some episodes again and reviewing them at some point to do a complete trip down memory lane. But I hear, as you watch it, maybe with an older mind, it gets better. But I do think it undid a lot of work, and I'm not surprised to hear you say that. Particularly, I think if you particularly like Beast Wars, Beast Machines was a noticeable decline. It didn't necessarily need it. Well, I don't know. If they did a good job with it, man, you can say it did need it. But yeah, I can understand your choice, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I thought that was a fairly safe ground to stand on this podcast.
So you're not worried. You're concerned about hurting my feelings, unlike Sam, who just wants to piss on my chips. But that's fine.
Just back one more point before we move on about animation, because I thought that was a good point, and that is one of the leading reasons why I could never get into. I won't name it because you'll get upset. Said series.
Beast Machines.
Because the animation is. It was all. I thought
Beast Machines took a little bit to sort of get my head around. I had to watch it as its own entity a little bit.
It's further time away there in Australia. Are you with us, Chris? Nope. Okay.
No.
Carry on, Sam.
Yeah. So I thought I didn't like the animation in Beast Wars. It's one of the reasons why I didn't like it. But I go back to another series. So for me, series 3 of the G1 cartoon is my least favorite not so much
Never
because
most
it went nuts and stupid in its stories, but its animation, I think, was a big step down from
it was.
from
Yeah,
1,
huge.
2, and like the Headmasters, for example. So I think there is a link. It's a really important link there that if it doesn't look right, or you don't like the look of it, it's a huge impact, isn't it, into watching something like that, obviously, because it's a visual thing. But I always thought Beast Wars, that's what put me off. Just couldn't.
I will say, just in the interest of being a bit impartial, because I do bang the Beast Wars drum. I've said this before on stream, so I won't spend too long on it. The IDW Beast Wars comic that came out, I got it. I got the entire series. I was not a fan of how it was drawn. It's very Picasso style, and it hurt how the story flowed, in my opinion. So to how you've all kind of said it, and they had a guest artist in for a couple of panels or a chapter, and it made a world of difference. And I never would have considered, and I'm sorry, I'm with David on here, I'm probably preaching to the choir on this, but I never would have considered artwork affecting a narrative story. I'm thinking, you can get from A to B with your own eyes, and you can read it in your own internal monologue. But I've kind of looked at it and I just found it so janky that I was like, I'm not with the story. I don't care for the story. I could process who's on screen or panel, but I was amazed how much it affected the story, and it was made abundant when it's got the guest artist in with a completely different style, and I was just like, oh, that's so much better. It still wasn't an utterly amazing story. It was fine. It was okay. But for a style that I just didn't enjoy, I couldn't believe how much of a negative impact it had to me on the storytelling. So I see the point that some of you are raising. I do understand that. Okay, well, we'll go back to a toy-centric one because there's no quiz this time, and probably just as well the amount of frenzy, cramzik, telecommunication problems we are having. But no quiz this time. Given that it is a year since I've started doing the live streams, I should have done a quiz, but I didn't. So you are off the hook this time.
It'd have been a Beast Wars quiz anyway, and I'd have got it all wrong.
Do you know what? I might just do that for you next time
quiz.
You're on.
Pop quiz. We're doing pop quiz. Beast Wars. I can win this.
No,
Yeah.
the thing is, he would just get it wrong just to upset me. I know he would, because he'd text me later to try and wind me up. I know this is what he'll do. Right. So back to a toy-centric one. And David, I know you haven't necessarily got wall-to-wall of toy collections, so hopefully you'll have something
of stuff behind you, though. Looking at all those books.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I've got more stuff off camera as well. So
promises. What Transformer figure, toy or otherwise, I won't necessarily limit it to toy, but we'll go with it. What do you regret not getting? What did you miss out on? Now, I was a bit hesitant to ask this as a point because I've come round to the way of thinking that you get everything eventually anyway.
Yeah,
and Spiderfather's in the chat, so he knows what I'm after. He knows the instructions I've given to him. Instruction singular. But is there something that came and went, or you've never been able to get hold of? Maybe a G1 toy back in the day. What's the thinking from either of you? Is there something that passed you by, slipped through your hands?
Do you know what? I've got kind of an interesting story on this one. Because I had there was a toy that I thought about like years ago, and I saw it and I thought like I might get it if I get around to it, but I never did. And I'd completely forgotten about it for years. And then this year I suddenly felt like, oh god, that existed. And it was do you remember there was like a USB Ravage?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that was actually really cool. I looked at it, I thought that actually looked really nice. And but then I kind of I mentioned it to somebody, and I won't say who it is in case they don't want it shared. But they were really nice, and they went hunting for it for me on my behalf, and I didn't realize because I just mentioned it in conversation, hadn't been a thing. And so, and this lovely person then just completely unexpected just sent me in the post. It's a Cheetor version of the same USB.
No, that's cool.
It's good.
I love the fact that you're still making this Beast Wars.
Yeah, I know it's going back. Sorry, Sam. I swear I didn't know. Didn't plan that.
Don't apologise. He needs to be. He needs to be taught.
But oh no, okay. I've just seen in the comments that it was the lovely Spider Father that did me that favour, and it was a complete surprise. And I opened it in the post. I was like, oh my god, it was so nice.
It was nice.
It was really nice, and it thank you, Lee. It really meant a lot. It was really cool to see.
He is the Robin Hood of Transformer collecting. The amount of stuff he finds and bloody gets, and he knows this all too well. But he also knows the task I've set him. Don't you, Lee? Anyway, Sam, anything that you wish you had that you haven't been able to get hold of? And I'm not going to allow Fans Toys Dead End. I'm not. Sorry, Bandit is not. He's not because that hasn't been released yet.
It hasn't. No. I don't know. I think one of the reasons we all do this is because we didn't get a lot of stuff when we were a kid, so we're getting it all now, aren't we? If you really delve down to it, that's all of it is what we regret either not having anymore or not getting. Or I think the one from when I was a kid, and I've always said it was Skyfire, Jetfire, whichever way around it was.
You mean the original,
like the G1, yeah. You know,
the one that, of course, had all the big legal hoo-ha around.
Yeah, and didn't look nothing like the cartoon, but that toy, that was my favourite character of the cartoon at the time. I wasn't allowed it, couldn't get it, you know, whatever it was. But a friend of mine had it, and whether I've said to anyone before, one of my most vivid Transformer memories as a kid was a friend of mine bringing it round, you know, because he'd got it and we then played with it, and so. That's not a regret because it wasn't my choice, you know, to not get it. But it's one of the reasons why I sought it after and bought it recently, or you know, since I've started collecting. So that's probably the one figure that I never had that I wanted. I can't think of anything there now though, not modern, you know, collecting that. Because as you say, you know, everywhere we can pretty much get what we want, can't we? Within. And especially now, things don't sell out like they used to. You know?
I mean, yeah, we are in a state of you have a lot more accessibility to get stuff now than you ever did with eBay and God knows what else. So you can genuinely find things. But yeah, I can accept that, and I think the G1 toy of Jetfire is as good a choice as any because God knows I didn't see it. No. Chris, are you back with us, mate?
I am.
You're looking. Yeah. You look. Yeah. Not so cardboard. Cardboard.
Hamsters running.
Cuboid.
Very frustrating.
Yeah. The question is, as it says on
missed all
screen,
the Beast Machines talk.
Don't worry, we can double back. I'm sure people would love to hear.
All I was going to say is, Beast Machines initially, when it had its run through, like David, it was just such a left field thing from watching Beast Wars, and it's like, oh, you're ruining so much stuff. I really am looking forward to watching it with fresh eyes 20 years later, though, and see. But I need to watch it as its own standalone sort of thing, though. I can't watch it as a direct continuation because it's just a little too different to what we've enjoyed for since beforehand.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But going on to this one, Chris, what Transformers figure, toy, do you regret not getting? As we're saying here with these two is
too many.
We can probably get everything. Well, no, too many is a problem, so not a valid answer. But what slipped through your fingers? What slipped your grasp that you've thought, I wish I had that even back in the day or now? Tell me you're there.
There's not so many that I regret.
He's going again.
Go on.
Can you hear me? Yep.
Hear me now.
There's not too many that I regret not getting, but there's a lot of figures that I regret selling.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, you can't get again
there's
now.
Definitely stuff that I would have loved to get when it was new, but I either wasn't collecting actively at the time, couldn't afford it, etc. And I just accept that. Stuff that I've got and then sold and now is too expensive to pick back up or too expensive to justify picking back up is more the issue for me now. Like a lot of Unicron trilogy stuff that I sold cheap as, dime a dozen at the time 5-10 years ago is now hundreds of dollars just for one figure. So that's a little bit of a regret there. So
yeah, I think you will get things that you just kind of regret moving on, and then you've got to try and then backtrack, and it can be awkward. I mean, I've said before around the story of moving on my G1 Metroplex, I did have an opportunity to get G1's 6 shots. Never got it. Boxed from a toy store in something like, I don't know, would have been a reissue 93, and I never got it. And that would have been one. I mean, I would have played with it for death because I was still a kid, playing with the toys. So it would have hardly been mint and seal box. But a box G1 6 shot would have been lovely. The other one was Scorponok. I did have an option to get Scorponok and didn't, and I would have loved that. But you can spend silly money on a G1 toy of that now. You can spend silly money on a new Titan. But yeah, we do we get everything eventually anyway.
Yeah. Maybe someone said the HasLab Unicron, and I've got anywhere I would have put it, but I wouldn't have mind getting one. I'd probably sell it now.
Yeah, I must admit that is one that I wanted to. I'll choose my words here. I wanted to get it because it felt completely standalone and different. Yep. It felt you've got to get it because it's the biggest thing ever. And this is why I say it's the only thing I think that HasLab was worthy for. But where the hell am I going to put it? Yeah. And it looks like I watched Hugh's video doing the transformation of it, and the transformation sequence gave me panic attacks, and it wasn't even in my house. And it's horrible. But I think there's a sense of absolute grandeur about it. Like it's like getting like a G1 Fort Max or Brave Maximus or Grandus when you get these real absolute top tier things that can't be any bigger. It's a bit like
what about that 4-foot Metroplex?
Oh, don't. All right, just don't.
The temptation is real.
Do you know the second I saw that, I went in to show my wife and kids, like, look at this, and my wife said, "You are not buying that."
I mean, I got a similar response from my wife, but it was much shorter, and it was no.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's yeah, that was more or less it. It was actually she did come out with another answer, which was 2 words, 7 letters, 3 of them were F. But never mind. But it's that 4-foot metro. I mean, there is a sense of that as well, being you've got to get it because feels like once in a lifetime. Yes. It's 4 foot tall. I think it is divorce class, as I say, isn't it? It is, but there's a bit of I don't know. I want to get it, and I don't know what the bloody hell am I going to do with it?
I want to experience it, but it's more than big. I've got big toys everywhere. Unicron's on the floor. These are 1/6 scale tumblers. There's 2 of them. Oh yeah, wow. Like I have large toys everywhere, but it's just
you got some pretty
it's
big
not
stuff.
just 4 foot tall. It's like a small human, and you have to store that somewhere. And it has to be on the floor. You can't put it.
We are not advocating that you store small humans somewhere. Okay, that's not.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
I feel we need to put a disclaimer on that, Chris. Bloody hell.
But no,
Don't get me cancelled.
Metroplex, I'd love to experience it, but just trying to keep it somewhere is very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, they got the comment in the chat there from Triple G. Do check out Triple G's live streams that he does, by the way. But yeah, the Cat's Lair, Thundercats.
That looks huge.
It's, mate, I think I could fit in it, and that's not a good thing. there is a sense
Is this going to be on your Patreon, Ian? Ian squeezes into Thundercats lair.
On his OnlyFans.
Why do you have to make it sexual? It doesn't need to be sexual. Not
We
saying
didn't
it won't
say
be,
it's
but it
sexual.
doesn't need
It's
to
just
be.
behind a paywall.
I'm not ruling anything out or in. But yeah, it's. Do you regret? I bloody hope there has to be. Look, the 4-foot Metroplex, and the worst part about that 4-foot Metroplex for me, it defuncts Unicron, I think, because now you've got a Titan that's way bigger than a planet, and like, but then in again of itself, that Unicron, how the bloody hell do you get Unicron to scale? How would you? You know, and you don't even with the 4-foot Metroplex. Probably Titan, if you had to, I don't know, you'd have to do a 6-foot Metroplex Citybot. And then what are you doing with Unicron? How big is this going to get? Going to be like bloody Japan when they built a real life Gundam figure walking around.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I don't know. I see now you got everyone talking about my OnlyFans, and this isn't what I wanted to do, but I'm
an income
flexible.
stream waiting for you, Ian.
Well, why don't you do it? Okay, don't advertise out on the podcast either, would you? At the risk of going on to, hold on. Well, we'll tell you what. Before this conversation really goes south, I'll just jump on this one from Triple G. Are any of you collecting the diecast 3-0 Transformers? Now, hold on. I get confused with this 3-0. That's not a statue, is it? Oh, it is a statue.
No, they're articulated
No,
figures.
they're articulate. They're very nice. But...
Sorry, I mean statues as in they're articulate, but they don't transform. Is what I mean.
3-0 came into the market as a 1/6 scale, like Hot Toys and sideshow figures type scale. So they've produced Transformers in that line, but they've also produced larger figures as well. But they're all articulated, very nice, but very expensive.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Oh yes, I've just googled it now. Yeah, they look amazing. Yeah. Sorry, David, go on.
I was just going to use your podcast to say if anybody wants to like just drop one off at my table at TF Nation, that'd be fantastic. Otherwise, I'm going to start an OnlyFans. Get 3-0.
This is not the platform to be launching OnlyFans, please. This is not on the disclaimer when you agree to come on, but it's also not a disclaimer. You know, they look amazing. They do look absolutely stunning. I've sort of mellowed with my ideas of you have to transform your Transformers. They have to be transformable, which for a very, very long time had to be my kind of thing. It had to do. Then I got the blockies, and then I was like, now it turns out I'm not so bothered. And yeah, I don't know. No, we're not going to have new show name. Let's talk OnlyFans Drew, for crying out fucking loud.
I'm so sorry. I've derailed everything.
Moving swiftly on.
Moving swiftly on. Yeah, let's get back on the Beast Wars.
I had just on that 3-0. I did have I've got to Google the name. It was the DLX Soundwave that came with Ravage, and it was based on the Bumblebee first few minutes animation.
Oh yeah.
It was amazing. It was a beautiful bit of kit. You know, it was.
I think is Bayverse of Madness still in the chat? He's got a couple of 3-0.
He's got 3-0s. He's got 3-0 Jetfire from Revenge of the Fallen, which looks utterly amazing and also aneurysm inducing. But it looks brilliant.
Of non-transforming figures, the YOLO Park AMK Pro, the Last beautiful. Night Optimus that I reviewed recently. That is amazing. It's 20 centimeters. It's affordable, highly detailed. Obviously, it doesn't transform, so they can get proportions and things pretty bang on. So there's definitely options if you just want display pieces opposed to things that you want to flick back and forth.
Actually, that's lent a question. Actually, I want to ask this to David. Do you use, for your artwork, do you use toys or figures as reference? And if so, would a non-transformable Transformer toy help you with that when you're doing some of your drawings?
They do. In fact, over there's Flame Toys model kits of Rodimus and Megatron.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
Drift as well, I think, so on camera as well. I've got some more over the other side. I got them initially because they were remarkably posable, and there are certain, not all Transformers, but a lot of them can be headaches because it's only when you have to draw them. Like I had this with, I had a commission to do Transformers Prime Optimus, and I thought, okay, that's cool because like they're quite dynamic and. Like I thought that's kind of in my style, but trying to work out how to draw the shoulders that he has, I was like going frame by frame on YouTube videos, and it was kind of blurring because of the quality. It was a headache. So yeah, no, absolutely, there are definitely times when, in fact, actually, there's a TF Prime there that was given to me by Lucan to help with that problem. Because it's such a pain. So there are some of them, the geometry is so all over the place that having a figure is wonderful for just kind of getting your head around like how the shapes work. Saves a lot of time.
I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, David, but I know from a photography standpoint, just having something in a 3D plane and being able to just rotate it like a degree or two changes the perspective so much. Where when you're on screen, you're like, it's not quite what I want, and you flick back and forth, and you're like, it's still not. It's not what I'm like got in my mind's eye. Like being able to just grab your figure and just go, there's that shot I want, and you get the right angle or whatever, and yeah,
100%. I mean, that's like half my excuse for buying all these things. It's like, no, it's artistic reference.
Do you think you could do that? That's how I enjoy a lot of my figures is photography and posing and reviews and stuff. It's a tangible reason to be actually messing with them and trying to set stuff up. So yeah, absolutely wonderful thing to do.
Well, we've all kind of done that now, particularly you, Sam. You've really ventured into the world of TikTok and some of your vignettes that you've been creating really well, I might add. But it's funny, isn't it, how I've said this before, that's kind of the new playing, isn't it? Because you don't play with your toys like you do with your kid. God knows I'm not going to be smashing my G1 Optimus Prime into Motormaster like I was. Smash! I'm like, no, this cost me £250. I'm not doing that. But the kind of the adult way of doing it is to pose and take photos, as I say, you do for your TikToks.
Yeah, it is fun. For me, that I do all that because it's a way to interact with it. As you say, I'm not going to sit there and play with them, but taking photos and all that gives something to do, doesn't it, with them? Otherwise, you never touch them; they just sit there. It's good fun.
Yeah, and I think the photography element really is something just to get another wave of excitement out of it and joy, which is always a good way of doing it. But I was quite interested to know through David's way. I think you've got a question in the chat, David. I think you're hopefully replying to from
yes.
Triple G. You got him.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, I am. Well, I could answer that now since you've raised it. Yes, I do indeed do commissions, and my website is my name, davidcousensarts.com, and there's a contact form.
Highly recommended.
Thank you.
And also, I've already taken the liberty of finding your. Is it Ko-fi? Is that how you pronounce it? Or Ko-fi? Yeah. I keep wanting to call it Ko-fi, but David's Ko-fi page is linked in the video description, so do go and check him out.
Oh, beautiful! Yeah,
already have you covered.
There,
But yeah, it's just another way that we have to kind of enjoy our collections now, and I just thought that was a really interesting way of doing it. Because one thing I've done, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form an artist. I like to think of myself as someone who can draw, but one thing I've always done.
I've seen some of your stuff. It's good.
I'm a better copier. That's the thing, because when I'd drawn, I drew Hotspot, and I just did like a headpiece. I was like, okay, fine. I finished it, took one look at it, went, that's Baruticus. Why have I done it? Just annoyed me. Like, why have I drawn Baruticus? So
the only thing I'm drawing is the curtains of a night.
They don't get better, do they? Okay. Well, we'll go on to what I have as the last question, but I'm sure we'll pad it up a bit more towards the end. But let's talk about Transformer YouTube videos. Transformers on YouTube is pretty popular. There are some great channels, and then there's mine. But there's stuff everywhere. But for me, you kind of stumble across people. Right? That's how I found a lot of people, is just literally stumbling across them. But with the amount of content that's being put out there now from tremendous creators, to which I'm joined by 3 wonderful creators tonight. But what do you look for when it comes to Transformers videos, given the amount of content that's there? What makes you click on something? Now, I promise you I'm not doing this for research purposes for my own channel. This isn't a bit of...
Where's the clipboard? Yeah.
Out of camera shot, as it always should be.
Yeah.
But the question to you all: what do you guys look forward in, or look for a Transformers video on YouTube? For given the stuff that's out there now, and it could be anything from stop motion to reviews to lore, the basics of McFeely, to name but a few. But over to you guys. What do you look for on YouTube and platforms?
It depends on what I'm looking for at the time.
Yeah,
if it's for entertainment, sometimes I want to watch like a Jobby the Hong or something that's gonna be quite entertaining passively. Other times I want information, so I'd want a long form, detailed, in-depth video about a subject or a figure or whatever. So it really depends on the mood, and I have different sources for different things. Sometimes I'm reviewing a figure and I'm like, I need to find out some more quirks and whatnot about this. So I'll go and watch some other reviews just to get an idea of what I'm looking at. Other times I won't, but that's neither here nor there. So it's really horses for courses, I guess, across, whatever your intent is that day on watching. But I'm very much like this with all media I consume. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not. I don't really particularly care who it's from. I'm happy to watch the little guy that's got 5 views and leave him a like and a comment, but I'll also watch someone that's got 500,000 subscribers,
Yeah. No, that's pretty good. Sam, anything for you?
Same, along the same lines, I think, really. Depending on what I'm after. And normally, if I'm looking Transformer related on YouTube, it's probably a review. If something's come out and I want to get, maybe it's not the opinion, but it's to see it, for example. So that First Aid that's just come out,
the X-Transbots one,
yeah, it hadn't arrived yet, because I think watching reviews before you get a figure is kind of not, I won't say a waste of time, but it seems weird because you're going to then form an opinion before you even get it. Whereas, but I like, if it's something I'm looking forward to, then I might want to look at it just so I can have a, look at the figure, just because I'm looking forward to getting it. But I don't know. Apart from that, yeah, I get it's similar. It's what I'm in the mood for. Yeah, if I wanted to find out about character, I might watch one of Chris McFeely's videos on the basic, maybe, or if it's a transformation. If I'm stuck on something and can't do it, I don't really care whose I watch, as long as I can see. Quite often I might look at 2 or 3 different people's to see how they do it. I think it's similar. Just whatever's there, in a sense, not specific.
It does depend, as you say, what you want to watch on. I mean, I found things like stop motion really good to watch because I just couldn't do it. I just can't. There's a practice art to it. And a chap that I watched, some of you may know of, was Ultra Marcus, who did his Legend of Zarek stories, and I was really a fan of it. He's not been doing those for a while, but they were like watching a TV show. The way he produced them, and I even got a brief cameo appearance in one of his episodes, which I was really chuffed with. And they were just great to watch. But I watched that, as you say, you kind of watch these other things for sort of research purposes for your own videos, but that was a good thing just to stick on and just enjoy, a bit like what Chris said around Jobby. You know, Jobby could be fun to watch as well, but I was watching some of the stop motions. I watched that because I'm just in awe of how people bring some of these things to life. It's just, man, how do you do it? What about you, David? Anything?
I tend to listen to a lot of YouTube while I'm working. So I have it on my second screen and then be working on my main screen.
So working from home, wink, wink.
Yes, yeah. It's because I'm in a studio by myself, and like it gets very quiet otherwise, and it kind of weirdly helps me focus. It kind of feels like I've got somebody in the room. So oftentimes I'll find that I watch/listen to people who their personality matters, and it's like somebody who's a bit fun, like say like Gav from TDRQ is like very, very amusing to me.
Oh, he's good.
Thew stuff's good fun. I can kind of listen to that and almost not even pay attention after a while. You just can you get like a rhythm with his voice. Or there are certain times where there'll be a tour review where somebody can't say Universal Soldiers properly. and genuinely, Chris, that got me watching your channel. Like when you did that and called it up, it's like that really amused me by the fact you were just like, I've left it in, I don't care. And I thought
honest to God, I love the film. I love the film, but honest to God, it is just I have a very small issue with my speech, which it's undiagnosed, but I have a bit of an overbite, and sometimes I just stumble on words. And for whatever reason, every time I go to, I'd say 9 out of 10 times I go to say that, especially while I'm recording, it just comes out as soldiers. And I'm like, the first couple of times I cut it out, I'm like, no, actually, I'm finding this funny, so I'm just going to start leaving it in. And it's becoming a thing, that's fine, and people are picking up on it. But I find it amusing, so I'm like, it's probably going to be amusing in the video.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think on a more useful for Ian's research purposes. It's
the only reason why I'm doing this.
Yeah. No, I do tend to find that I'm not as fussed with something being particularly polished as much as I am. I want to get to feel. I want to feel like I'm in the room with the creator and they're chatting to me while I'm drawing or something. And it's I like it when somebody leaves in a mistake or a joke or
it feels a bit more human, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think it's
I like to find the middle ground.
Yeah,
I like to find the middle ground between having a polished product, but also letting your I'm trying to do something in depth and explain something, but also I want my personality to shine through where it's natural. So allowing that stuff I find is quite funny, and if I'm having a laugh and it is smooth enough to put in and it's not going to mess up the flow of the video, I think it's worth putting in. And that's the sort of stuff I guess I enjoy from other people too. Is this the person I'm watching, or is this just a random script that they're trying to generate and hope sort of sticks?
100%.
Yeah, it's I find for me it's hard because you want to it depends on what you're putting out, but you want to have the most polished product and something that, because if you dare put something wrong or put wrong, the comment section will tell you. Make no bones about it. But if you can laugh at yourself, you're halfway home.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What about you, Sam?
Just on that mistakes thing, I think making mistakes is a good way to. You should keep them in, because then you get the comments for people that want to correct you, and no comment's a bad comment.
That's good for engagement.
It's all engagement.
Bad for the ego, good for the engagement. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And it's connection, isn't it?
Again, it's
yeah.
Keeping the mistakes that make sense, not just you stumbling or stuttering or whatever that then takes away from the product that you're making.
Yes,
but something that's actually feels entertaining, or it will add to what you're presenting, I think is where you just, and that's a learning thing. You got to do more and more videos. I started doing these videos in 2013 or whatever. I had a bit of a sabbatical there, but the world is very different in terms of, and going back to just what we're watching. And there was a comment there about Optobotomus, and there was PR, and early MGO stuff and Bolt Matrix. Back then, when I was doing reviews and those guys were around big time, it was very much figure in front, white screen, talk about it, no script, nothing. And that style worked at the time for YouTube. People watched that. But over the last few years, it's become very scripted, very produced. So I like to find the middle ground between those things. Though I script it so I'm concise about what I want to say, I also try and just let it flow once I start recording. And having the script there keeps me in line with what I want to do, but lets me speak about it more naturally without going like flipping back. Sometimes I'll record a quick video and I'll post record audio. It's very awkward and it doesn't come out as smooth. So it's getting that middle ground is really nice. And you can tell that when someone's doing a video and they're letting their personality come through a little bit, but still keeping the video concise to what they want to talk about. Like you brought up Thew, David. His videos are very scripted, but it's him. That's how he speaks. It's not Thew's writing this script and just speaking it out word for word off the paper. He's producing his video in his style, but it just happens to be scripted. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I stopped doing scripts a long time ago. Now, seeing as I'm coming up to nearly 5 years on YouTube now, good Lord. But I stopped doing them. I felt they were very wooden. I wouldn't say I had the most eccentric style anyway. So I felt if I came away from them, and as Mick, sorry, not Mick, as Drew said in the chat, bullet points is kind of all you need. Yeah, that works. You know, you have the points that you want to say, because if there's something that you got something that you can refer to, but then sometimes I don't know, you've got to take yourself to a balance and say, I want it to sound flowing and natural. And one thing I've had as a couple of bits of feedback, I remember when I had the Robeson Bumblebee, which Sam and I have spoken about as well. But when I first got that and did a review on it, or kind of unboxing first impressions of it, I was a little bit giddy, I suppose, because it was like fresh and exciting. And a few comments I got on the bottom of that is like, I love how happy you look on this. And I guess that was kind of better because I didn't have a script. It was literally me working it out. The only time I didn't have the camera on was to put the thing on charge before I started recording. So the rest of it was kind of like instant reaction, and reaction videos are fun to watch anyway. But
that's where you get the connection, though, isn't it, with people that you're watching, where you get a real their natural reaction to it. I think reviews that are too scripted don't capture what they're really thinking. I think sometimes a good example, well, a slight example that I use is for transformations. So again, go back to that first aid. That's a good example where I tried this. The video I found was a transformation video that was done in stage, but it was like the perfect transformation. You know, I don't know how this was done this perfectly because I couldn't do it. And what I like watching as a transformation is where people struggle. You know, if there's a bit,
that's why I don't do transformations in my videos.
But if I'm following someone to do it, which I do, because I don't want to read instructions and figure it out myself. I like to know. I like to see if it's difficult. You know, when you see these polished ones and it goes perfectly, and I think they're harder to connect with than someone that, you know, if the feet are tight or whatever, and they say that and they struggle with it, then you know that you can. You've got to take care in that bit, and I think that helps build trust as well. That you go, next time I'm going to watch them again because of the way they did it, and that's how I think build that trust and connection with the person.
That's true, because I've go on, David. Sorry.
Oh no, I was going to change like slightly veer off.
No. You, okay. You veer, mate. You veer.
I was going to say because I was when I was reading through the comments, I think. One of the things I particularly like is it actually shows like this, or like Transformers the show is another one that I'll listen to when I'm drawing. It's I like that feeling of like I've listened to a number of your shows like when I've been drawing something, and you start to get to feel like you know the people, and it is like having like a load of friends on conversation, but you're just not really chipping in much. And,
Yeah.
and
that's-
that's quite a fun way because it's. I mean, I don't know if. It's like for a lot of us when it's like one of the nice things about TF Nation is like we all turn up and it's like, hey, how's it going? Or we can all just talk about Transformers and this kind of stuff that our family don't care about. And so it's nice to hear it and hear people talking about the new toys or saying what they do or don't like or like how great Beast Wars is.
Of course. Go on, Chris. Were you going to
A little
go in
peek
there?
behind the curtain for Ian and I last night was we did a recording for. We made a comment to both each other. We've gotten to such a groove now with Flow that it is such a very natural conversation, and we're entertained by listening to it ourselves, which shows that if we can enjoy it, other people probably can too. And I think that's a big thing for content creators. If you can enjoy your own work, the odds are there'll be an audience that will also enjoy it.
I think that's
100%.
important.
That's one thing that I thought of the other day, because I look at a lot of reviewers who just get the latest toy and then review it. And I don't know why I thought of this, but Sam, I don't know if you remember, there was a third-party company who did like a spay of World War II style vehicles that turned into Transformers. There was like a Bismarck-esque battleship,
Vaguely,
Luftwaffe, and things like that, and they turned into generic robots. And they may have done a biopic, but they certainly weren't Transformers characters. They just happened to be transformable figures.
Rings a bell, yeah.
And you know, there was also, I don't even remember, there was a life-size sniper rifle that turned into a robot. That was a thing that came out a little while ago. And it was, and I just thought, and people were reviewing that, and I thought, I don't want to review that. At the same time, I don't want to be the reviewer who just buys what he likes and reviews what he likes and say everything's great because you like it, because you bought it, and it's all very predictable. But at the same time, I don't want to just buy everything and go, yay, this is the thing. Like, here's a battleship that turns into a transformer. His name's Ted. Why do I care? You know, I want to give you something to it. Like, I did Fans Toys Ultra Magnus review, and I had 3 Ultra Magnuses to go through. But at least I care enough about Ultra Magnus as a character to have 3 of them to go through what I like about Ultra Magnus and which one is the best representation.
You've got to stick to what you like, haven't you, to a certain degree? I think.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're right. That passion or whatever won't come out in the video, and it'll just be this generic, and people won't care, will they? Whereas
I think it's. Sorry, Sam. I think it's important from a financial point not to buy everything just for the sake of reviewing it. But of course, you're going to review things that you are buying because you like them. But I think it's integral to be honest about the figure. So if you don't enjoy it, put it in the review. Tell people why you don't enjoy it. Explain those reasons. Don't just be like, oh, I bought this. I'm reviewing it. I better be positive. No, if it's junk, it's junk. Don't be honest about it. People will thank you for that more than they will going, oh, yeah, this is great. Definitely go out and buy it, you know.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
definitely.
Well, we'll finish off then with one final point as we come to the end of the stream. But our month today is Manchester Minicon of TF Nation. Sorry to Chris, because you are definitely not coming over for a one-day event, but hopefully, maybe possibly. Yeah, what?
Halfway around the world. What a poor excuse.
Poor is the key word.
But yeah, we are 1 month away from Manchester Minicon. And David, you and I were speaking. Sadly, you're not going to be with us, which is a shame because I thought you might be there selling your wares.
Yeah, no, not this. Something came up. I've got a family related thing that I have to do. No, I will be at the main TF Nation in August and the one in Reading whenever that is. But yeah, no, because I love TF Nation, I really do.
Yeah, we got Triple G who's sitting in the chat. Never been to a TF Nation, worth a visit. Absolutely, 100%. It really is. If you're not really into big conventions, try out one of the mini ones. So Manchester is a good little entry level. The guest list is smaller, the agenda is smaller, the toy hall is smaller, everything is. And it's a one-day event from start to finishing. People will go down the night before. I'll be going down the night before or up. But I am looking forward to it massively. If you are accustomed to longer staying conventions, the main one in August, 3-day event is very much your thing. It's huge. But we are a month today, and I'm very, very excited. And like David said, it's like building up a community here to do things like this. It's why you see a lot of streams. I know there's quite a lot of the American reviewers as well. Billy the Kid reviews, who does a lot of toy reviews, also posts on some of the Facebook groups. Did blessedly try to get me on one of his live streams, but given the time to America, it wasn't actually going to work out. But these kind of things do happen, and like you say, David, it's like you feel you're connecting and making friends, and you're there with them and for the discussions that we get at conventions. And Manchester's going to be a nice little break for us. But Sam, you'll be there, won't you? Please, otherwise it's just me from the stream.
No, I will be there. I'm going to be up there Friday night as well, or Friday afternoon. So absolutely, yep.
Oh, good stuff.
I was just going to say to Triple G, as if you've got any hesitation for going, my experience was I did my first one 2 years ago, and I didn't really know anybody in the Transformers community as such. I was old friends with Chris McFeely, but that was it. I didn't know anybody there. And because I'd always been a bit reluctant to share my artwork, because I thought, oh man, Transformers fans can be brutal. I might get destroyed. But
only some of us on Beast Wars.
Yeah.
You know,
but no, I was completely wrong. And when I went there I went there for the whole 3 days, and I got there early so I could set up all of my stall and stuff to sell my artwork. And I had a choice. I could either go to my hotel room, stay there, and watch some TV stuff. But everything's on site in the Birmingham one. Like the bar area is shared, and like everybody's in the same place. And I thought, do you know what? Let's just take a chance and go down, and I'll find somebody. And it took about 2 seconds to find somebody with a Transformers t-shirt, and I didn't know anybody. And so I said, I said, do you mind if you Transformers fans? Do you mind if I come and chat to you? They were so friendly. And they were like, yeah, come down. And they introduced me to everybody who was there. And I thought, I'm not going to remember all these people. But no, they are lovely. And I came away after the 3 days. I was just exhilarated. And I had like genuine new friends. And they're people who I talk to pretty much on a weekly basis, or some of them. And it was so good. So yeah, if you've got any kind of hesitation at all, it's the friendliest convention that I've ever been to. Yep. The TF Nation, every single person is willing to talk to you. It's lovely.
Yeah, I can't.
I've only ever been to one Transformers convention, because they don't really do them here in Australia, unfortunately. But I went to TFCon in Toronto in 2014, and I had some internet friends, but not any in real life friends, because obviously different continent, all that sort of stuff. But for the most part, it was very welcoming environment, and I'm sure it's the same over there for you guys. But I met up with some of the internet friends, which are now very good friends to this day, that I speak to often, both, text and like on actual calls and things. And also met and became friends with people I'd never spoken to before, just through this common interest that we all have. So go there and just speak to someone, as David said. Just find someone that looks friendly and say hello and say, hey, my name's Chris, or whatever it is, and I like your t-shirt, and I guarantee it will kick off from there, and you'll have a great time. Don't feel like you're an outsider there, because it's one of the only conventions I can almost guarantee that you're not. You will be welcomed. There's very few people at these that aren't nice.
I've seen people there who can be very reserved in themselves, and then they soon realize they're around like-minded friends and people. And one thing that is a good thing, and I see this in the mini cons as much as I do at the big conventions, people are walking around with toys and they're conversation starters, and that never ceases to amaze me. My first TF Nation, I didn't do the auto assembly days, going back further. Someone had just got Siege Jetfire, very, very fresh, and was walking around with it in the bar. And of course, people went up to them and was like, oh wow, can I see this? And then I got chatting to the guy, and it's just amazing how it can be a conversation starter. But yeah, there's some great people there.
There's always people gathered around a table in a lobby or at a bar with a toy on the table. Like, just go up, and if there's a seat, say, "Hey, do you mind if I join in?" And I'm sure most people will be pretty happy to let you.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. And carrying on with the streaming and the toy convention vibe, Toy Me, Toy You from Dave Nipples there with guests of Vaults of Icon and Exilian XLR. Both of them have been on my channel before. Do go and check those guys out as well. But yeah, Manchester is coming up soon, and I'm just really, really looking forward to it. But I think we have cracked it off there for tonight. So one thing I'm going to do quickly before I wrap up, a little brief snip. I think now's as good a time as any. A couple of you know this from what's going to be my next review video, I suppose, review. I got a nice little box from Blockies, and it's very golden, and it's very nice. So that's going to be done. Well, I'll record it tomorrow. So yeah, Gold Lagoon set. It's really lovely.
Have you not opened it yet?
Well, I've taken the lid off, but that's as much as I've done. Yeah, but it's gorgeous. It's really cool, and it's so well presented. Look, they even come with little Gold Lagoon stickers. That's really nice. I'm so impressed with the packaging, and I wasn't expecting this, so I'm so looking forward to that. So do keep an eye out. That will probably go live early next week, I imagine, when it's all said and done.
One thing they've nailed, I mean, they've, as a company, seem to be nailing quite a lot, but their packaging and artwork across the board is exceptional. Whoever does that, they've got it right.
The Megatron they did, the Action Edition, the large Megatron, the box on that looked very, very nice.
But going back to that, we were talking earlier about in stores and stuff, even just the smaller boxes, they're so shiny. It sounds so silly to say, but they're so shiny, and it almost makes you want to pick them up. So I think they've done a very good job with their packaging. Anyway, there you go.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, look, boxes, on shelves is like thumbnails on YouTube. It's what catches the eye. It's what you click on. It's what you see.
Right.
If you see things on the shelf, that's why I said about Studio Series 86 Prime is that box art looks brilliant because you've got the 1986 image, and it's one of the few I've kept because if you saw that on the shelf, would you say no to it?
Yeah. Well, when you said that a while back, you're absolutely right on that because that box is a beautiful piece. Yeah,
it's one of the few I've kept. Yeah. Right, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me this evening. Sam, where can we find you, and what are you working on at the moment? Anything in particular?
Nothing in particular. No, well, I'm just going back round the collection and taking pictures again. I just got a new photo little box, light box. So I'm just going around with a new style and just gonna do that for a while until I think of something else to do. So it's Samsformers on Instagram is my main place to live. I have started TikTok because I think it's fun. I'm trying to grow that, which is doing all right. But
So your Instagram numbers are very high. You're doing quite well on that.
Yeah, that's where I get a lot of my main engagement is there. So I spend most of my time, efforts on it. It's good.
And you do some really, really good stuff, mate. So you really should be. Do go and check out Sam, particularly. All of these links will be in the description of the video, of course. I have only put Sam's Instagram on there, but do go and check him out on TikTok as well. I know. Sorry, you don't like Beast Wars, so I can get away with it.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
David, where can we find you, and what are you working on at the moment? Because you've generally got some juicy things up your sleeve. Don't say you're not working on anything now. I've bigged you up like that.
No, I was just trying to think what I can say I'm working on. Because there's various things that I can't announce just yet. That's annoying.
Big David over here.
Things I am doing. I'm still doing lots of covers for the Terminator for Dynamite Comics. So you'll see lots of those coming out. Some Silverhawk stuff. There's more. There's a lot more comic stuff on the way, and then also obviously because I love Transformers, and despite the fact I'm not on the Transformers comics, there will be a lot more Transformer stuff certainly. As the closer we get to TF Nation, you're going to see a lot more Transformer stuff from me as I get this year's
Love to
print
see you
stuff.
do a guest cover on the current David.
I would too, Chris, and I want people to tell Skybound that because I would love to do that.
Hashtag
Start
justice for
campaigning, chat.
Yeah. Everybody just start harassing Skybound. No, I'd love to do a Transformers cover. It'd be absolutely nuts. But
you do some amazing stuff, and I've said before because I've got at least 3 of your pieces. 3, yep, 3. Your IDW one, I know it's an older one, and I've said this to you before. I'll say it to you again. It's a brilliant piece. Please do consider, keeping with it. It's really, really nice.
What piece was
Really
content, David?
Oh yeah, just keep doing Beast Wars. It's fun.
There will be. There's spoilers. I am going to do this year 2 Beast Wars prints that are mirrored. So there's going to be one side is going to be a Maximal team, and then another print. So you can buy one if you're just a Maximal person. Or
Just put a copy of each aside for me, will you?
Send
I like how you needed no convincing.
That's my thinking. It's like there's like, I'm going to double up. But no, because obviously Scott Minneal's going to be at the TF Nation this time round, and I didn't want to just cherry pick his characters because have I mentioned I like Beast Wars today? I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. So no, it's going to be like a massive tribute to the series of like all the characters who turn up in the show.
That's awesome. C4 Darkmane's asked us, can we still get prints of the big IDW one? Are prints still available for your IDW image?
Yeah. Do you know what they are? Thanks to Chris. Because I actually was selling out of that particular Lost Light run, and I did a public thing saying, okay, this is the last of my stock for this. So I was going to retire this one, and then Chris bought my last one, and it went to Australia, and somebody stole it in the post.
No, I did. I remember you saying actually.
When it got to Chris, it just had an open package with nothing in it. So I needed to do a custom order for Chris. So I actually got some more as well.
There you go.
So yeah, there will be some more of the IDW lineup, one available.
There you are, Drew. One for you, mate. And Melashode. Lee, we actually call him his name. Tarantulas on the Predacon one because he is such a Tarantulas fan. Would it be Tarantulas?
Come on, he was guaranteed to be on it. It's going to be everyone who's been on the TV show. It will be on there.
Yeah,
I won't go into like all the toys because I want to not go insane.
Yeah, best not having your brains dripping out of your ears. By
it's already going to be a massive headache getting all the characters in from the various things because I'm going to choose.
Put one of each aside for me as well, please.
Okay, nice one. Right. This is going to be a good print run.
Good. I'm glad to be helping your sales on my live stream.
No, thank you very much. And I'm on social media at David Cousens pretty much everywhere.
Anywhere there's an app, maybe.
Yeah, basically. And then my website is davidcousensart.com.
I'll be sure to add that in the description of the video once it's gone live.
Nice.
Chris, your first time on my channel, believe it or not. So thank you very much for coming along and getting up at a stupidly early time to do so. I think the energy drink has got you through it. You're a champion. Where can people find you? Too bad. Well, it's running on Wallabies.
It's been a bit of a heat wave here, and I think it's messing with the
shut
NBN
up!
lines,
We've got 8 degrees and we're happy. All right,
the sun come out today.
I would be happy with 8 degrees.
Oh man!
But yes, you can find me across most things. Chris Carnage _ on Instagram and Twitter. Chris Carnage at Blue Sky, whatever the URL for Blue Sky is. Carnage Creations on YouTube. And that's just Prime, a Beast Wars podcast.
Which is very good.
You happen to be doing that with a certain other YouTuber, don't you?
Yeah,
want to give some kind words to that other YouTuber who does no editing or lift finger whatsoever.
But seriously, if you guys are Beast Wars fans or have any interest in it, that's just Prime, a Beast Wars podcast. Ian and I are doing that. We're now 4 episodes of the show and 3 episodes of our podcast in, and the next one coming up is a big bumper toy episode covering 1996's toy line. So that will be out in 2 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, looking forward to that. And of course, a video went live. No, video did go live,
Well,
but
yeah,
an
technically,
episode. Yeah,
it all went
technically
live
did,
last
but
night. Yeah.
it all went live this morning because this morning for me it's a day, you've
Last
been
night for
asleep.
me.
That was it's really weird. For
It
you,
all
but
went
yeah.
live this Saturday.
Yeah, it
Fair,
did
yeah.
indeed. But no, thanks very
Have a
much.
listen.
I do want to actually take a little bit of an opportunity there just to say thank you to Chris publicly, because he does do all the editing for the podcast. I don't know what I'm doing with my own channel, let alone going in a podcast form. We put aside time, which is hard to do given that we're on two different sides of the world. But it took a bit of aligning up, but we made it work. And Chris does do a lot of the heavy lifting. He does all the thumbnails. And he runs the Twitters and the Blue Skies. And I just want to say thank you very much. You do some really good stuff. When we listen to it back, you and I'm really impressed. It sounds so professional, which is one word I wouldn't say I ever am. So you've made me sound professional. Thank you very much.
No
So
problem.
humble.
Happy to do it, man. I just hope
All
everyone
right,
else enjoys it too.
I'm sure so. Even Sam might enjoy it. You never know.
I've subscribed to it somewhere on Spotify or podcast or somewhere, I think. Yeah.
Thank you for clicking.
So I'll listen to it.
Good stuff. All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Do go and check out everyone on the socials. It's all linked in the description. I'll be adding some more details as well. Thanks for watching. And as always, I will see you on the next one. End stream.